I remember sleeping on the floor, mama, she was broke. Was taking showers in the cold. And I remember seeing niggas sell dope, buying cars and clothes. So that's the only thing I know. We had no house, no lights, no car. We ain't had no food.
Stop! Go.
My name is Harry, and this happened about 9 years ago when I was 10 years old.
Right.
Growing up, it was just me, my brother, and my mom. We didn't have a lot of money, and we moved around a lot, most of the time in rough neighborhoods. We moved into an apartment building when I was about 10 years old. It didn't take us long to get settled in. My mom gave my brother and me a task to help out. My brother would go out and get groceries and work side jobs if he could, and my task was to do the laundry. One day I went down to the first floor with a basket full of laundry. I walked into the laundromat and started putting clothes into the machine. That's when a man walked in with a laundry basket of his own. He was about in his early 40s. Light bright hair that was slicked back and big 70s styles glasses.
So I clear my throat and get some juices, liquids, other things up inside of me. Pause. Make sure my cubicle is, I don't know what the hell that is. I don't know why I said that. Right, make sure the air is good. Hit this dude. Sus.
He didn't say anything, but every now and then I would look across the laundromat and would see him staring at me. I tried not to look, but I couldn't help but check, especially when you're being watched. After some time, the man left the laundromat, which left me feeling relieved. Later that day, after finishing laundry, I was heading outside with my brother and a new friend to play baseball. Before exiting the building, I looked to my left down the corridor to the laundromat, and I saw that same man from earlier. He was peering around the corner, looking into the laundromat. What was he doing, I thought? Was he actually looking for me? He was being very sneaky. I left the building before he had a chance to turn around and see me. About 3 or 4 days passed before I needed to do laundry again. The first thing I saw when I walked into the laundromat was that man. This time he spoke and said, "Hey, I didn't know you liked baseball," while giving me an unsettling smile. How did he know I liked baseball, I thought? Has he been watching me?
That's cause that motherfucker was just staring at you down. He was staring you down like you was a goddamn snack. He was watching you like a goddamn hawk talking about something. Ugly.
Following me? I said, "Oh yeah," while letting out an awkward fake laugh. I walked past the man and towards the washing machine. The man didn't say anything. Instead, he just stood there watching me again, still with a weird smile. Thankfully though, he left shortly after I was able to continue doing my laundry. One evening I was bored and I think there was some electrical problem in our apartment. Because of that, I wasn't able to play video games or watch TV. So I decided to do something productive and do some laundry. I went down to the laundromat and began doing the load. That's when the lights started flickering. And at the same time, the man came into the laundromat. As soon as I saw him, I felt faint. He walked slowly up to me, looking up the light.
As soon as I saw him, I did what SpongeBob did. Alright, I'm gonna head out. Bro, how many clothes do y'all got? Y'all got clothes for months. Jesus.
It's flickering and said, "I think there's going to be a power outage." I looked up
No
at the
shit.
lights as well and said nervously, yeah, I think so too. I looked at the man and he just gave me a creepy grin, just like before. At that point, the power did cut off, and the laundromat,
Wow.
along with the rest of the building, went dark. I was stuck in the
Wow.
dark laundromat alone with this man. He then grabbed both of
That's
my arms
convenient.
really tight
Oh.
and pulled me close to him. And he said to me, "It's okay. You don't have to be afraid. It's only the dark.
Ew.
It's fine." Before I could say anything to tell him, let me go,
I would have been like, he grabbing me. He over here, right? He grabbing me. It's dark. I would have been like, get your hands off me. No, hold on. I'd be like, hold on. Oh no, it got dark. I can't see nothing. He grabs me, start caressing me and whatnot. Get your hands off me, you damn dirty pedophile.
he covered my mouth with his hand, then whispered to me saying,
Ew.
"Shh, it's okay. Don't
My
worry."
ass.
I remember thinking at that point I was about to die, thinking that that man was about to take me away. And it was pitch black in the building after all. And the exit to the
He gonna
building
take
was
that
just
ass.
down the corridor. The lights then flickered back on, and the man said to me, "See? I said everything's gonna be okay," then letting me go from his tight grip. I remember standing there frightened, the man walking past me, and he left the laundromat. I never saw that man again after that, so I never mentioned it again. I sometimes think if the lights didn't
Wow.
come back on, would he have tried to take me away, or worse?
Or clocked you.
This story
for
happened to me about a
unnecessary.
month ago. The apartment that I live in isn't in a good area, but I haven't got that much money, and it's all I can afford currently. Thankfully, I have a washing machine in my apartment, and I don't have to go to the laundromat. Unfortunately, my washing machine broke. It was on a Saturday evening, and after calling a repairman to look at it, he told me he couldn't fix it until Monday, as he didn't have the time or equipment that evening, and the next day would be Sunday. So I had to do my laundry in a nearby laundromat, which was in a neighborhood that I try my best to avoid. I would be out all day Sunday, so I had no choice but to go to the laundromat that same Saturday evening. Going to the laundromat in a neighborhood I don't go to, especially at night, was quite unsettling. I walked to the laundromat and saw it to be empty. I didn't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing. I guess good, as there was no one around to bother me. I sat down on the bench scrolling through my phone as my laundry was in the washing machine. I still didn't see anyone outside or inside, and I didn't see the owner behind the counter either. I then started to hear some kind of scuffling in the back room behind the counter and a loud thud. The door was slightly open, but I couldn't see anything. I was about to get up and leave because I thought something bad was happening, like a robbery taking place.
It's about to.
And I didn't want to get caught up in that. But before I got up, a man opened the back room door, and he looked at me and turned away. He came out less than a minute
What?
later, this time wearing a different shirt than before. He must have been the owner or something. I remember thinking that. He gave me a friendly wave and a smile and stood at the back of the counter.
Ugh.
Sometime later, he went into the back room and I didn't see him again. My laundry was done and I went home. The next morning, I couldn't believe what I saw on the news. The owner of the laundromat I was at the previous night was found dead in a pool of blood early that morning. And the picture of the owner wasn't the man that I saw the previous night behind the counter. It was rumored that the owner was in some kind of money trouble and didn't have the money to pay what he owed. It's scary to think that a murder took place in the room next to me, and I had no idea about it. And a suspected murderer came out and waved to me as if
Yeah. That's something you didn't know nothing about. But if you were to have the Adidas 17,000s on, you would have known, but you didn't. That's your fault. Nobody else's but yours.
nothing was going on. I told police what I saw, and as far as I know, the suspect hasn't been found. My name is John and I'm 35 years old. I'm a security guard and
Right.
have been for a while now. About a year ago, I got a job working night shifts at a small hotel. My job will be sitting at a
Okay.
desk watching a computer monitor, which was connected to a few cameras.
No. You said night shifts? That's not where it's at. It's clock shifts. Just as no, it's bad. Like night shifts are bad, but them third shifts are something else. But I think you said night shifts though. Either way, you're clocked.
Was located around the hotel, and every hour or so, I would get up and patrol the area. This one night, I was sitting at my desk scrolling through my phone when I took a quick glance at the monitor and saw there was someone in the laundromat, which was located in the basement. There shouldn't be anyone down there at the time. I remember thinking that, which was past 2 a.m. I should mention that the camera quality wasn't the best, but it was good enough to see when something is going on. So I went down to the basement, turned my flashlight on, and spoke out. Is anyone down there? You need to leave right now. I tried to sound confident when I said that, but I'm not sure if it came out that way. Going down into a dark laundromat basement in the middle of the night is pretty creepy, especially when you saw someone in there. And what's more creepy was, no one replied. And there was no one down there. I went back upstairs to my desk. As I mentioned earlier, the camera quality wasn't the greatest, so I brushed it off to being a glitch in the footage or something. I continued looking at my phone, but this time more cautious to the monitor. It wasn't long before I noticed something on the screen again. It was in a laundromat. I looked closely and I swear I was certain I saw something. I could see someone pacing back and forth.
Alright, now that's Mother Clock that's playing with you. Relax. See, because it's like now, because you saw someone on the screen, you went down there to go check it out, to be curious. Everybody knows, you know what I mean? Like, being curious, you know where that ends up. So you went down there, you didn't see nobody in person. You went back up there to the screens. You saw the guy again. So now at this point, you just be like, you know what? I did my job, and I did like the bare minimum. And that I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, this job doesn't pay me enough, not nearly enough, to risk my life over something like this. Nope, you got all of that. You got all that. You got all that. So, I don't know who about to replace me. I don't know what the hell is going on. But I'm not, no, I'm not with it. I'm not with the shit. This ain't it, Chief.
See someone pacing back and forth. Once again, I went down to the basement and into the laundromat to check.
Wow.
Shining my light and asking who was down there. There was no reply. I couldn't see anyone in there. The laundromat wasn't that big, so I could clearly see if someone was in there. And it was empty. I was so confused and at the same time frightened. How can I see someone on the camera, but the room was clearly empty? Just as I was heading back upstairs, I heard a bang.
You got it.
Then a continuous banging.
Wow.
I shone my flashlight into the laundromat and I saw one of the washing machine doors was swinging open and shut by itself, slamming into the machine each time. I slowly walked up to the swinging door and put my hand in front of it, and it stopped. As soon as I stopped the door from swinging, I heard a whisper in my ear, and something grabbed my shoulder. I jumped and turned around, seeing nothing but an empty laundromat. I ran upstairs and out of the basement, back to my desk. I looked at the monitors again, and this time there was nothing on the screen, except you could see that the washing machine door opened and closed by itself.
Hell nah.
I rewound the footage back to see if I could see something that I may have missed. The only thing that I could see, though, was me walk up to the washing machine door, stopping it, and me getting frightened and running out of the laundromat. I could make out one word from the whispering I heard in my ear, and that was leave. The next night, I struggled to get through the night shift.
The next night?
I kept watching the monitors expecting something to happen, especially in that laundromat, but I never did. I was too scared to work there after that, and the following day I told my boss that I was leaving. I'm not a superstitious man at all, but I honestly believe that what I experienced was 100% supernatural.
I'm not letting nobody know. That night, I am...
In March of 2010, a California Sheriff's Department dispatcher named Monique Patino was to receive one of the most shocking and disturbing calls of her entire career. The call came early on a Tuesday morning. Monique answered the call in the same manner she'd done 1,000 times before, only to hear the terrified, fear-saturated voice of none other than a 7-year-old boy on the other end of the line. 911, what is your emergency? She asked calmly. As a mother, the response shook Monique to her core. There's some guy. He's going to kill my mom and dad. Can you come?
That's a big ass...
The little boy asked, his voice wavering into a terrified wail as the horrific realization hit him. Can you come really fast? And bring some cops, a lot of them, and bring soldiers too.
Wow.
Monique was the mother of 2 young children herself, and despite the fact that the child's terrified cries screamed through her head like nails on a chalkboard, she remained calm and professional, immediately dispatching nearby units of police to the family's home. Listen to me, she said to the young boy. Take a breath. I already have the police coming. Where are you at in the house? Inside the bathroom. The boy...
In the house? You really just say where you at in the house? Bitch! I'm gone!
Replied in between staggered, panicked breaths. 3 men, armed with small caliber weapons, had managed to sneak into the family's house through an unlocked door in a home invasion intended to separate the family from their valuables. The family's 6-year-old daughter had ran out to their car to grab her school lunchbox so her mother could fill it before she drove them to school. But the assailants, in a green and gray 2-door compact car, had been casing the house, and when they realized that the little girl could well have neglected to lock the door behind them, they swooped in to take advantage. But the 7-year-old boy named Carlos had acted fast. He grabbed the family house phone, then his younger sister, and rushed into the upstairs bathroom, locking the door behind him before he called 911 to seek emergency assistance. But as young Carlos was in the process of saving his family from the horrendous, violent ordeal, one of the gunmen overheard him talking to the 911 operator and began to break down the door to the bathroom, slamming his boot into the thin wood over and over again. Just hearing them scream and cry for help, she later said. I just felt their fear through the phone. The sound of the 2 young children's screams as the evil, callous criminal began to smash his way into their apparently protected space is frankly the stuff of nightmares. However, when the home invader finally broke his way inside and saw the phone in the young boy's hand, he realized the situation, that little Carlos had the presence of mind to actually call the police instead of simply cowering in the family bathroom hoping to stay hidden. He panicked, calling out to his fellow criminals that the cops were probably only moments away from arriving on the scene. The trio then scarpered without taking a single valuable item from the family home or harming any of the family they had subjected to such a terrifying experience. However, unfortunately for the family and for law enforcement, the quick reactions of the home invaders meant that they were never found or arrested for the crime and are horrifyingly enough still on the loose today. When a news conference was held to commemorate the young man's brave actions, 7-year-old Carlos told a large congregation of reporters that he had managed to remain calm during the harrowing ordeal because his mother used to make him practice dialing 911 in case of emergencies. At the press event, Carlos, who proudly sported the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department baseball cap, gave a huge hug to the 911 dispatcher who had handled his call.
He said, that he remained calm because his mom, you know what I mean, got him hip, I guess, or just taught him her ways. If I was in your shoes, I would have stayed calm, but not because of that. Only because it's like when you know for sure you about to get clucked up, why even fight it? You know what I mean? Like, why even just like force it? Just let it be, let it happen. The demise will be televised.
Monique Patino went on to call the boy her little hero, as she intermittently wiped away tears of joy from her cheeks. She told Carlos that he had been exceptionally brave for doing what he did, telling him she was very, very proud of him for having saved his entire family from what would undoubtedly been a prolonged and highly traumatic experience. I'm still astounded by his mindset, Los Angeles County Sheriff Sergeant Douglas Jensen was later heard to have said. To be able to think about getting his sister, grabbing his phone, locking himself in a bathroom and calling 911, it shows so much. He did a fantastic job, better than most adults, he added, and the whole episode offers a valuable lesson to parents everywhere. Teaching your kid how to dial 911 in case of an emergency is something that is not only prudent, but might well save your life one day. As terrifying as it is to hear the 911 call of this incident, which is freely available on YouTube and on various California news websites, hearing just how brave that young Carlos is to act in the way that he did is frankly inspirational. But we should also keep in mind that the toll these kinds of calls take on the mental health of the nation's 911 dispatchers cannot be underestimated. So please, take a moment to be grateful for all that they do to keep ourselves and our families safe. On October 26,
I just want to say, that was a big-ass 7-year-old. Another thing I want to say. I mean, it's dope, you know what I mean, teaching your kids to call 911 and to protect themselves and stuff, and in case of, like, you know, a clutch situation. But it's also great and awesome to teach your kids how to haul ass the proper way. Because there's definitely a proper way and an improper way, I think I said that right, of hauling ass. You can definitely, run in like a weird, not your full potential way, but then you can also run in a great Adidas way. And teaching your kids Adidas. Just
2014, a call came into a 911 dispatch center in the state of Florida. The call came from the 300 block of Southeast Walton Lakes Drive in the city of Fort Pierce. At first, the caller sounds practically timid and polite, informing the dispatcher that he is in need of the police, even calling her ma'am as he does so. The caller then calmly informs the dispatcher that a murder has been committed. He sounds resigned, not stating that he thinks that a murder has been committed, but that he knows it is a fact. By who, she asks, her tone still relatively calm. By me, ma'am, he replies. Who did you murder? The dispatcher then asks, starting to sound disturbed by what she's hearing. The response is...
Question about that. He's talking about himself murdering somebody, right? To a police officer, I think. So, realistically, in a real life situation, not saying this is not real, but I'm just saying, like, in reality, like, you know what I mean? If you were to call a cop and say, I am about to commit a crime on such and such date at such and such location at such and such time. You give the officers, with very specific details. would you still serve time in jail? I feel like you would, but not nearly as much time as if you were to, if you did commit a crime. Yeah. I was going to say something else. I lost my train of thought. Jesus. Wait, hold on. We're not cops. Tell the cops. I lost it. Damn.
It was haunting. I murdered my wife. The caller goes on to admit that he murdered his wife at around 7 o'clock that same morning, telling the dispatcher that his name is Checkingson Sinclair. Listening to the 911 call, it's horrifyingly clear how cold and collected Checkingson is, his tone rivaling even the most chilling portrayals of murderous psychopaths shown in Hollywood movies. He goes on to explain that his wife's body is still in the apartment they shared together, that he killed her with a gun, and that he shot her in the head in the couple's bedroom.
God damn.
Checkingson mentions that after he shot his wife in the head that morning, he calmly laid the pistol he murdered her with on the couple's dining table. "All right, we got somebody coming out there to talk to you," the dispatcher then says, regaining some of her professionalism as she does so. "But why did you do this?" "We got into an argument," Checkingson says plainly, "and she came at me with a knife.
Oh.
I had to defend myself. She was going to attack me with a knife."
Yeah.
When asked what his wife's name was, Checkingson replies that she was named Latoisa Argret. Latoisa was 24 and 7 weeks pregnant with her 21-year-old husband's child when he shot her in the head. The couple had been married for just shy of 8 months, but Checkingson was quick to inform the dispatcher that they argued and fought with alarming frequency. When asked how long the Fort Pierce Police Department will take to arrive at the apartment block, the dispatcher informs Checkingson that they will not be long at all, and pleads with him not to be near the gun when they arrive. He replies that he simply wants them to come over as quickly as possible so they can deal with the situation, and they will not be standing near the weapon when they arrive. Upon their entry into the couple's apartment, police officers found Latoisa's body exactly where her husband had said it was, on the floor of their bedroom, with a steak knife in her hand. At first, it appeared to be tragic, but typical case of domestic violence that had unfortunately and horribly ended in murder by self-defense. But upon questioning the couple's neighbors, law enforcement began to become deeply suspicious. One neighbor told officers that they had been woken up by a loud bang as early as 6 o'clock in the morning and had heard another one follow soon after. But they failed to act on what they had heard because they knew the couple fought frequently and had assumed it was one of the pair slamming an apartment door. Despite the fact that the gunshots seemed to have occurred around 6 that morning, Checkingson didn't end up calling 911 until 9, a whole 3 hours later. This only deepened the concerns of the investigating police that his story was not entirely factual. Forensics examiners then noticed that the blood splatters around the bedroom were not consistent with the story of self-defense that had been claimed by Checkingson. Not only that, but skull fragments were buried in the bedroom wall, well away from where the fatal shot had penetrated the floor of the apartment. That there was no doubt in their mind that Latoisa's body had been moved after she had been shot and killed.
What's her name?
They also recognized that the murdered woman's fingerprints were indeed on the knife, but not clear enough to confirm that she had gripped the handle at all. It seemed likely that not only had Checkingson moved her body after he had killed her, but he had also placed the knife in her hand in an attempt to make it appear as if though she had attacked him. When confronted with this evidence by homicide detectives, he admitted the truth. He admitted that he had wanted to kill his wife after he confronted her over a text message she received from a former boyfriend. He went on to confess how he had serious doubts that the child that Latoisa was pregnant with was actually his, and that the couple argued so frequently because he was insecure and jealous, constantly suspecting his wife, as well as countless previous girlfriends, of being habitually unfaithful to him. Checkingson then officially changed his story regarding how the murder unfolded, telling police that he and his wife had gotten into a verbal altercation early on the Sunday morning about a text message she received from another man. Latoisa denied any infidelity, asserting that the 7-week-old baby inside of her did indeed belong to him, and that he had nothing to be jealous of. But this did not calm Checkinson down. He took her cell phone, walked into the couple's bathroom, and violently threw it into the toilet, smashing the screen and inflicting a heavy amount of water damage to the phone's motherboard. Latoisa then screamed at him, furious that he should essentially accuse her of lying to him. Checkinson, now apoplectic with rage that his wife was now raising her voice to him, retrieved his pistol from the bedside drawer, aiming it at her head, and pulled the trigger. Because he was shaking with anger, Checkinson's aim was poor. His first shot grazed his wife's skull, splitting off chunks of bone fragment that were later found by the forensic examiners. This first shot knocked her to the floor, stunning her. At this stage, she was absolutely no threat to anyone and presented absolutely no danger to her husband, horribly contradicting his initial story of self-defense. Then, as she lay face down on the bedroom floor of their small Fort Pierce apartment, Checkinson walked around the bed, fired another shot. He then proceeded to send a text message to a close friend, informing them that he wouldn't be able to participate in fantasy football that season, as well as texts to his mother and brother telling them that he loved them. This wasn't just a murder. This was an execution, Assistant State Attorney Brandon White had later said at the murder trial. There was a good chance that any sane or rational individual would have come to their senses after the first shot was fired. It was a shot to the head, one that fractured a woman's skull, but Checkinson Sinclair actually stopped to check if his wife was still alive, and discovering that she was, fired another shot square into the back of her head, straight-up execution style. Under Florida law, because Sinclair was convicted of first-degree murder in the death of his wife, the death of his unborn child also became a first-degree murder. Because Sinclair pled guilty, the state did not seek the death penalty and spared his life, and so he sits in a Florida penitentiary to this very day, to wander of the life he might have led with his wife and child, had he not opted to pull the trigger on that fateful October morning. A little context, I am currently a senior in...
So you mean to tell me I'm kind of mad because I'm pretty sure she knew or saw some signs, some red flags throughout he said they was married 8 months, but I don't know how long they were together or knew each other before they got married. Excuse me, but like, regardless of the fact, in any relationship, whether it's a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, married, friendship, co-workership, oh, that's my neighbor type of friendship, ship. I feel like there's always signs and always like red flags with any type of ship you have with somebody. So with that being said, I feel like she noticed some signs, some red flags throughout the time they were like together, and she probably didn't do anything about it or just went over her head. Because how do you miss somebody like that? You know what I mean? Like, granted, there are some people that's like him that seem like completely normal. And you don't think at first glance on the outside, hey, there's nothing wrong with this mother clucker. But behind closed doors is something else. But even then, you know what I mean? Even behind closed doors, they can still seem normal. But regardless of the fact, people always show their true colors. Either they show like the full colors, They show like a little bit of it, something slight. They may show something every year. You know what I mean? Like, you might get the whole rainbow in like a couple of months, or you may get pieces of the rainbow color every now and then until you see the whole goddamn rainbow. Because a mother clucker like that, that's not random. No, it was something wrong with him.
College and live off campus with my two best friends. This time of year, particularly around Thanksgiving, my friends try to help me stay busy as it is typically a difficult time for me. My mother left our family the week of Thanksgiving when I was 8 years old, and my dad passed away 5 years ago on November 22nd. So as I said, it's a pretty easy time of year to get myself down in the dumps if I don't stay active. Every year for the last 3 or 4 years, I have gone to one of my friends' houses to celebrate Thanksgiving with their families. But this past year I decided I wanted to just stay home and have a mellow long weekend. I figured I could catch up on work as well as my schoolwork, which was pretty far behind. My roommates and I didn't live particularly close to the university. We lived in a suburb about 15 to 20 minutes outside of the school. This was nice because we didn't ever have to host any parties. We could just attend them near campus and head back home afterwards. Anyways, there was one house on our street that didn't quite match the others. It wasn't that the house was worse than the others, but it had no landscaping and desperately needed a fresh coat of paint. My roommates and I knew the owner as he introduced himself when we moved in a few years back. His name is Jacob. He's about 5'6" and probably weighed 100 pounds soaking wet. Every time we've had an interaction with him, he was always very nice and polite. He even helped us fix our porch light when it broke last summer. He seems to be very cordial with everyone in the neighborhood and has helped numerous people with small handy jobs similar to the one I just mentioned. On the Wednesday night leading up to Thanksgiving, my two roommates went back to their families' houses in their hometowns. They both asked several times if I was 100% sure I wanted to spend Thanksgiving alone and that I'd be fine by myself. I honestly thought I would be, and thought perhaps enough time had passed that I could just focus on other things and not dwell on the past. I stocked up on Mountain Dew so I could stay awake after my assignments to play some PlayStation. At about 9 or 10 p.m., I went up to my room to throw on some sweatpants and grab the blanket for my bed. I glanced out my window and saw Jacob sitting on his front porch with the two porch lights on. I didn't think anything of it and went downstairs into the kitchen and made a peanut butter and fluff sandwich. I would say I was in the kitchen for probably about 5 minutes or so, finishing eating and doing a few dishes. When I finally sat down to play some games, I thought I heard something hit the front bay window, so I went to take a look. At first, I didn't see anything, but then noticed that Jacob had now turned the porch lights off and was standing on his front lawn, staring at the house with his head tilted like he was looking towards the windows upstairs. A little creeped out, I tried calling one of my friends who knew I was still in town to see if she wanted to meet up or stop over to hang out for a little bit. She didn't answer, so I sat on the couch for a couple of moments trying to figure out what to do. He was still standing there staring and seemingly moving a few feet closer to our property each time I looked. I wasn't sure what to do. I couldn't call the cops. He hadn't done anything except freak me out a little, and to this point, he hadn't even...
Yes. He's acting hella sus. That's a crime in itself. You call the cops. Ring. Ring. Hello? Hey, cops. We got a mother clubby that's acting hella sus. Sus? You say sus? Yes, I did say sus. You sure it's sus? You sure you acting sus? I said sus, right? I cannot be more sus than I am sus right now. Alright? We'll be over there hard, faster than you can say sus. Really? So if I say sus right... God damn, y'all here fast as shit.
Stepped on my property. After another few minutes, I looked out the window again and saw Jacob now on our lawn looking at the corner of the house. At least that's what it looked like he was staring at. At this point, I wasn't sure what his intentions were, and I didn't want to find out. Perhaps I was blowing this out of proportion, but I was legitimately scared. I grabbed my keys and phone and a few other items, thinking I would just drive to campus. Maybe the library was still open, even though we were off for the holiday. I kept all the lights on so I didn't seem like I was leaving, and decided I was going to sneak out the back door. As I quietly sneaked through the yard, I turned the corner to quickly get to my car, and there was Jacob, standing in our driveway.
Wow.
I asked him what he was doing in the driveway, and he put his finger over his mouth to make a shh noise. I slapped him as hard as I could and made a run for it past my car. My instincts and adrenaline told me to just run until I found someone or someplace else. As I got about a block or two down the road, I saw a bunch of cop cars pull up towards the area of my house. Confused, I began to go back towards my house, thinking perhaps another neighbor saw Jacob stalking outside of my house and called the police. As I approached the house, one of the officers asked my name and if this was my residence. I confirmed the information, and what I heard next is still the most horrifying and disturbing information I had ever received. The officer stated that Jacob reported that he was on his porch when he saw me from across the street. He saw me walk out of my upstairs bedroom, and as I walked away out of the room, he saw a man come out of my closet. Apparently that was why Jacob was looking into my room when I saw him the first time, and also why he was looking at the corner of the house. He was following the intruder who was now walking into my roommate's room. When I last saw him outside my house before I slapped him and ran in terror, Jacob stated that the random guy in my house had made it to the downstairs. Jacob was trying not to make any noise as not to alert the person inside, fearful he could be violent or dangerous. As soon as he saw the man in the house, Jacob called the authorities and did his best to try and defuse the situation and not bring any alarm to myself or the intruder. The person inside the house was arrested and taken away. He didn't have anything on him other than a knife, so it is unclear if he was attempting to rob the home or was planning something more sinister. Either way, I couldn't express to Jacob how much gratitude I had for what he did. He even tried apologizing for how he handled the situation, stating that there were probably things he could have done differently to make sure I was safe and aware of the situation. Unfortunately, this experience adds another mental scar to this time of year that will take a long time to get over. But one thing I can be sure of is that I will never spend a Thanksgiving holiday alone again.
I don't know why you did in the first place. That's kind of sad. No, I don't mean to say that. I don't mean to sound like that. I know there's people out here that don't have friends or family to spend it with. But, I mean, if you do, you should just try to make an effort to spend time with your family on Thanksgiving and especially Christmas. But if you can't, then I understand. Jesus, this is great. I like these. Mort, you did your thing on this. I like this. That first one, though, with the laundry, oh my God. Ew. That one with the security guard checking downstairs with the whole time it was a spirit. It was a ghost. So that ghost is messing with him, playing games. Ooh, the one where the husband the husband killed the wife. That mother clucker was crazy on some other shit. Hell no. And then number one, the last one, he was still, that's not, you know what I mean? That's not just glance over the fact that he was still acting hella sus. I don't like that at all. I cannot talk. There were a couple of different ways that he could have told me that there was somebody in my house. you acting hella sus about it was not one of them. I still got my eye on you, player. Just saying. But I'm always a big fan of Mort. I don't know if somebody suggested I react to Mort or if I just found like the channel Mort on my own. But yeah, I love his videos. Keep it cool, keep it classy, and I love you. Stay happy, my family.